brilliant man, William Samuel Cox, founding force of the Moonee Valley Racing Club, with the race that bears his name, a 2,400 metre weight for age classic. From 1922, the Valley has provided unparalleled viewing to generational icons and begs the question, does the Cox Plate make a Hall of Famer or vice versa? Farlap, Rising Fast, Tulloch, Tobin Bronze, Gunsin, Kingston Town.
Kingston Town can't win. He might win yet, the champ. What a run! Kingston Town wins it an extra Drover.
Marvel at the race of the century. Two New Zealanders running on memory. Bill Collins equal to the moment.
Bone Crusher races into equine immortality.
Greg Hall and Superimpose survived carnage and surged to victory in 1992.
In the middle, Prince Salieri getting a run, better loosen up and Superimpose, Let's Elope in front, Superimpose driving, I think Superimpose to Let's Elope the Cox Plate.
Up goes Might and Power.
Might and Power, the second horse to collect the Caulfield, Melbourne Cup and Cox Plate Trinity.
He's going to get it. The earth starts to rumble. Might and Power takes the Cox Plate.
Sunline honoured a raucous Valley faithful to herald in a new century of champions.
She might be the greatest in the world, Sunline.
Northerly.
Sunline, they got very tight, but Northerly wins the Cox Plate.
Is lifting, he's flashing.
Fields of Omar.
Fields of Omar, he's lunge with El Segundo.
Mackay Diva.
In the middle, but Mackay Diva, she's the champ.
And So You Think.
He's racing clear, and So You Think has bolted in
The honour roll of legends cresting with Winks.
And Winks stands tallest here in the Cox Plate.
Lee Gracheur.
Stops up.
Sir Dragonet and State of Rest each enrich the Cox Plate. Animo added a Cox Plate chapter, making amends in 2022. James McDonald steered the local champ to a famous victory, an entree to his second success on Hong Kong's and Danny Shum's fearless favourite, Romantic Warrior.
So the countdown and the build-up.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention. A protest has been lodged against first and second.
Damien Oliver, you were the rider of Northerly in the race just run.
The 80th running of the Cox Plate at Group 1 level.
So here we are, the big one, the 2001 Cox Plate. I'm on Northerly. He's going for 4 wins in a row. He'd won the Feehan Stakes, the Underwood, the Caulfield Stakes, and now the big one, the Cox Plate. And he's taking on the champion mare, Sunline.
The punters have spoken, and for the second year in a row, Sunline will start favourite in the Cox Plate.
Look at the masses in the Mountie Yard back in the day. I was fortunate enough to pick up the ride on Northerly. Greg Childs was his regular rider, but he had a long-standing commitment to his fellow New Zealander, Sunline. I've drawn barrier 3, which was a perfect gate.
Lions got their racing.
And we're off. A nice clean start. Northerly jumped well. So did Viscount on the inside. You can see Sunlight racing it forward from the outside with Silvano just inside her.
Sunline coming over in front. A half length to Viscount and Northerly, and Silvano out 3 wide early at the winning post.
I can see Kieran McAvoy on my inside on Viscount. He takes the opportunity to move out to get off the fence, pushing me 3 deep.
At the 1700 metre mark, and Charles has taken Sunline to the lead.
I wasn't really happy with this move, but I was able to get back and take a 1-1 out, 1 back trail behind him. Silvano drops back behind us.
Into Northerly. He's nice and handy on the outside of Referral.
My experience from riding in the last 2 Cox Plates against Sunline, the Greg Childs, once he got around this bottom turn, he'd start to let Sunline extend.
At the turn of the 850 and Sunline, a length and a half in front.
And I felt this really played into Northerly's hands because he liked a long sustained run.
At the 600 metre mark, and Sunline's 3/4 in front.
I came out to the 3 wide line here just to give him plenty of clean air.
Now Charles has gone for home on Sunline. She's a length and a half by Count and Silvano.
You could see Silvano sneaking up on the inside of Sunline, Viscount in between us.
On the turn, Sunline, a length and a half in front.
As as we come around the home turn. The crowd's deafening.
Northerly after Sunline down the outside from Viscount.
You can see Northerly gets in a little bit under pressure. Crowd's Viscount. Sunline's also drifting out.
Sunline the leader. Northerly on the outside.
Start to forge clear. Get myself to the front.
On the outside going to Sunline. They got very tight, but Northerly wins the Cox Plate.
I've won the Cox Plate. But my excitement is tempered. Because I'm thinking in the back of my mind there could be a protest here.
Things get very tight here. Contact made close to the line.
And my concerns are confirmed.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention. A protest has been lodged.
Shortly after, we're in the steward's room for a protest.
Damien Oliver, you are the rider of Northerly in the race just run. We'll have a look at all the videos together and then get your submissions in respect of the objection.
It's unfortunate for Kieran, but he has been tightened for room there. But in my view, this happened far too close to the winning post. Both riders are both at fault.
Northerly came from behind them, beat them comfortably.
After listening to all the connections comments and viewing all the angles of the race, and with our winning margin of 3/4 of the length, I was quietly confident that we'd keep the race.
All protests on the Cox Plate have been dismissed and the placing stand.
The stewards agreed that the interference wasn't enough to change the outcome of the race. The race was ours.
And he clearly is one of the best out of the West.
A dramatic Cox Plate in 2001. What Cox Plates aren't dramatic? Two men who know all about it and have been in the parry and thrust of the great race. Jimmy Cassidy and Damien Oliver, and how lucky we are to have them join us in the build-up to the Cox Plate. Gents, how's your Cox Plate day been so far?
Yeah, it's been great. Nice to enjoy it on this side of the fence. A bit more relaxing.
Yeah, it certainly is. I've been in the Ladbrokes Lounge and out in the middle, so a lot of happy punters and all looking forward to the Cox Plate.
So a quarter of a century after you lifted the roof off this place, after Might and Power returns from winning a Caulfield and Melbourne Cup 12 months earlier to, crown his greatness effectively in winning a Cox Plate. What are the memories that come flooding back for you, Jimmy?
Oh, look, it's amazing to walk in here on Cox Plate Day. That day, Might and Power, full house again, 40,000. To go out on the track with that little bit of pressure and trying to win the big three. He'd already won the other two. So, look, it was an amazing day. Great memories. To have a horse that had such a great will to win. Hopefully we see that again today in the Ladbrokes Cox Plate.
Ollie, your two Cox Plates were a little bit of a contrast. The despised outsider, as John Tapp called the mare Dane Ripper in 1997, and then Northerly was establishing himself as a great in 2001. How do you reflect on the two wins and I suppose the contrast of them? Yeah, they're both very different. Like you said, Dane Ripper, the outsider of the field, and unfortunately I knocked off my old mate Jimmy on Volante. I was sort of hoping if I was going to get him, I might have to get him late, and fortunately someone softened him up a little bit early for me and dived up in the fence and got him. And then very different in Northerly's year when we took on the reigning champion Sunline, and but Northerly was in great form himself that year, and it was a dramatic finish, and I was really pleased that he got up to win on a Western Australian horse. You might have missed your calling in the legal profession, given how you were able to establish your case sitting next to Greg Childs in 2001. What are your recollections of the protest? I was quietly confident we'd keep it, but racing's an opinion-based sport, and you never know quite what people's opinions are going to be. I was very helpful having Fred Kersley in there with us as well, who had plenty of experience. So, we thought we deserved to hold it with a clear margin, and fortunately we did. To today's race, and Jimmy, I know you harbour a special affection for the Japanese-bred gallopers and a level of respect for them, and it's hard not to, given what they've been able to do both on our soil and on a global scale. How do you see prognosis in the concoction of this year's Cox Plate? Look, I think if he turns up with his A game, I think he's a horse to beat. The way they're trained in Japan, the way they run through the bridle, one drops off, another one takes on. If the speed in the race is going to be genuine, which it certainly looks to be that way, I think he's going to take a power of beating. Ollie, what's your view on the 104th Ladbrokes Cox Plate? Yeah, well, we think Jenny's probably going to go out with a big lead or strong pace like she normally does. I think the addition of Evaporate and Royal Patronage in the race probably going to help the horses in the second half of the field to card up to her. I'm a bit like Jimmy. I think Prognosis is going to be fighting out the finish, but I'm
I'm just slightly leaning towards broadsiding, maybe running over him at the end, but any one of those top 5 could win it. Looks like a great race.
Gents, appreciate your time on what's a very, very busy afternoon as you get to spend some time with us and reflect on some memories. And Ollie, you see you tomorrow morning. We'll get a chance to review it all on the wrap tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. on racing.com. Jim Cassidy and Damien Oliver, two men who are so central to the tapestry and the history of the Cox Plate. We've got 9 contenders in 2024. Their hopes and dreams are about to be unfurled.
Olivia Cole, you've pretty much made Werribee your home the last few weeks. Tell me this, how have these horses, the international horses, Docklands and Prognosis, how have they settled into race day in Australia?
It's fantastic to see how relaxed they've been so far. This horse stalls experience can be a very new experience for our internationals, but I've come up to see them a few times, and Laura Pike, who's travelling with Docklands, has reported that he's had a snooze, so he's definitely nice and relaxed. And Prognosis, he also seems to be taking it in his stride. And interestingly, around an hour ago, he had a few mouthfuls of what looked like hay as well, which I put a clip up on our socials, so maybe just trying to get him into a bit of a routine and just get him settled.
Something really unusual and not that we would usually see in Australia. Have you been able to ask the team, is that something that they do as routine over in Japan?
I wasn't able to ask the team directly, but asking a few of the other RV staff who've been out at Werribee, they said that they felt that might be part of his race day routine in Japan. So maybe perhaps something could just keep him a bit settled and mind on the task.
Docklands, he's a beautiful looking horse and he seems to be taking everything in his stride here.
He certainly is. Well, he's used to an Ascot environment, so the mounting yard and the pre-parade here, he should be taking that in his stride. The Royal Ascot crowds are quite similar to today, and similarly with Prognosis, we know Japanese crowds are immense and definitely the atmosphere is there. So fantastic to see them taking this all in and enjoying their race day experience.
Well, speaking of atmospheres, it is starting to build out on the front lawn. You can feel it running through your veins. We're not far away from the 2024 Cox Plate. Let's get a market update.
The build-up to the best 2 minutes in sport, the 104th running of the Ladbrokes Cox Plate, the iconic 2040 test for weight for age gallopers. A $5 million prize pool is attached. Horse 1 is Mr. Brightside. He makes his third assault on the great race with Craig Williams attached. Second last year behind Romantic Warrior, his build-up. Second in the Memsey, winner of the Mackay Diva. Second in the Fee into Pride of Jenny. And then second in the Might and Power, the same race he used as his lead-up 2 years ago.
His record suggests says he's had 6 starts at this trip for no victories, but clearly he was only a nose away from winning a Cox Plate last year. He's had a lovely lead up into it, a 14, a 16, another 16 and a 2,000 metre run last start 2 weeks ago, finishing second behind Deny Knowledge. At his best, is 2,000 metres the best trip for Mr. Brightside? We'll soon find out, but he's set to get a lovely run from that inside draw.
I tell you what, the boys could not have this horse looking any better. He's been making steady improvement every single run this whole campaign, and they have him peaking today. There is not an ounce of fat on him that shouldn't be there. His coat is immaculate. His manners are always fantastic. They've got him here in the best possible way that they could.
He draws gate 2 as he did last year. Craig Williams had 16 rides in this race, 2 victories, Fields of Omar and Pinka Pinka. Well, here he is, horse 2, Prognosis. He's been a central character of the build-up to this race since it was confirmed that Mitsu Nakachita would bring this 3-time Group 1 place getter, once at home behind the great Equinox and twice in Hong Kong in the QE2 behind last year's winner of this race, Romantic Warrior. He comes here bringing excellent global form lines.
He sure does. It was an enormous run in the QE2 Cup. I thought he was maybe a bit unlucky not to beat Romantic Warrior. That form ties in. Look, he was too far back but ran well last start. And he boasts a third coming from last behind Equinox. Form doesn't get any better than that. I think Damien Lane going on is a huge positive jockey change, and he's the top pick in the race for me.
He looks fantastic. His manners are right on point. He's a lovely type of horse. He's very athletic. Everything that you would expect him to look like, he does. He's moving well. I love the attention to detail that this stable have gone to, all their little quirks. They've got the bandages on with the colours that they like. I like that they've got the rearing bit over the top of the normal bridle, and they've crossed the reins underneath the stirrup leathers as well. Just all the little details and the way that they do things is really interesting, and they've got a lovely horse that looks super.
Damien Lane riding Lee Grasher for Japan to victory in this race 5 years ago. 3 is Kovalika. Mark Zara has been placed in this race previously. He was on I'm Thunderstruck some 2 years ago. Chris Waller, of course, winning this race on 4 occasions with Winks. Kovalika comes through the premium Sydney Spring form, 4th in the Epsom, 2nd in the Hill Stakes.
Yeah, he hit the line strongly in the Hill, gets Mark Zara on, but he hasn't won since the Queensland Derby last year where he beat a weak field, and I think he'll need further than this, and this is a big rise in class.
He's moving really well. He's lovely and rich in his coat. He's relaxed. He's conserving his energy perfectly. So there's no way that he's an outsider of the field based on the way that he is presented here.
4 is Royal Patronage, who also comes via the Epsom. Can this be the moment for Gai Waterhouse, who's been so close in this race? Place getters in Alligator Blood, Fiorente, Manhattan Rain, Piero, Lateria, and All Our Mob.
Well, who am I to doubt Gai? She's a marvel, but this horse probably isn't good enough. He led and finished 3rd in the Hill last time out. He ran well in the Epsom with 56 kilos, but he rises in class here, and the jury has to be out at a high-pressure 2,000 metres when you got Jenny in the race.
He's presented in fantastic order. He's got such a lovely nature for an entire. This fellow, he's walking around like an absolute gentleman. I'm quite taken by his action. He's very, very free. He's moving beautifully. He's very, very fit. So he's got all those things on his side if he can just take that extra step.
What a moment this is for Harry Eustace, who brings the 5 Docklands to Australia in concert with OTI, who were part of the ownership group with runner-up I'm Thunderstruck a couple of years ago. Harry's brother Dave winning a training partnership with Kieran Maher and Sir Dragonet back in 2020. Docklands was placed in the Group 1 Queen Anne during Royal Ascot this year before testing himself north of 2,000 metres in a high-class edition of the Juddmonte.
Yeah, the Juddmonte's about as strong a form as you're going to find. He was well beaten there, but with some excuses. It was the second placing in a Queen Anne 2 starts ago is his peak performance, and that reads very well for a race like this. Blake Shin going on's a big plus. I just wonder, was the Queen Anne run a little bit of an outlier and whether he can quite be at his best in a high-pressure 2,000 metres. So he's an interesting runner. He brings some different form, which could be crucial, but probably others might have a little bit more class.
He's a lovely athletic horse. He's very handsome. He's a good body type. I feel like Harry's done plenty of work with him. He's got really good signs of fitness for this first up task today. You can see really good definition over his rib cage and down towards his flank. So well done to the team. They've got him here in the best shape they could.
6 is Pride of Jenny. The reigning Australian Horse of the Year is the one they'll have to catch. With the Fian moved a little bit closer to the Cox Plate, can she become the first to complete the double since El Segundo did so in 2007? 3 Group 1s to date. The Empire Rose and Champions Mile last spring at Flemington, and then made a one-act affair of the Queen Elizabeth during the Sydney Autumn.
Well, she was beaten by a rising star in fast time last start at Randwick in Chaya Wolf, and maybe she's looking for the 2,000 now. She backed up 12 months ago within a week and produced what was then a career peak performance. We know her style. She'll get out. She'll make it tough. And she's going to get everybody else out of their comfort zone. She's the horse at the 400 metres is going to be in front, and by some margin, she's the one they have to get past.
She looks awesome. It's no surprise that all these horses are presented in fantastic order in a wonderful race like this. Jenny's a mare. She can sometimes look a little bit tight behind, but I think she's actually moving particularly well for her today. She's lovely and free in her action. She's using herself well. She's obviously rock hard fit on the quick backup, but she looks spot on.
The second of the mares is the 7 Via Sistina, and she has been the news story in the build-up to this race since Tuesday morning, becoming entangled in a dislodged bandage, and in the process dislodging her jockey James McDonald, who's trying to become the first jockey since Brent Thompson in the late 1970s to win this race 3 years in a row on different horses. Animo and Romantic Warrior in the last 2 years. Via Sistina looking to emulate the deeds of Winx in coming via the Turnbull in her last 2 years to win the Cox Plate.
Well, she put a disappointing second up run behind her by beating the informed Buckaroo in the Turnbull, and she might be even better suited here onto a firmer surface. The market's got a huge opinion of her. She gets firm ground to suit today. Outside of the 2 favourites in prognosis and Jenny, I think she's the next best hope. The question will be, when Jenny puts the acid test, can she be as effective in such a high pressure race?
She looks spot on. She looks rock hard fit. There's no surplus on her. She's obviously had a little bit of a controversial week, but she seems nice and bright within herself. She's had her ears pricked the whole time that she's been in the mounting yard. She looks lovely and happy. I think the team have got her here in great shape. She's a real classic looking 2,000 metre horse.
2 3-year-olds in the 2024 Cox Plate. The first of them, the 8 Broadsiding. We've had three 3-year-old colts win this race in the 21st century. James Cummings almost did it with Animo in 2021. He righted that script some 12 months later. It's a relaxed build-up between he and Jamie Carr, but there needs to be improvement of what we saw in the Caulfield Guineas.
His CV, though, is as good as any 3-year-old that's previously won a Cox Plate. He's already a 3-time Group 1 winner, and he was the top of the pops as a 2-year-old of his generation. He returned with a great win first up in the Golden Rose. Look, there may have been circumstances against him in a Caulfield Guineas. He went back, he was held up on the inside, and he left his run late. But in fairness, that was his second up performance. This has been the target the entire time. Third up, 2,000 metres, Cox Plate, dropping in weight, rising in trip, taking on the older horses. And you would imagine he's in A1 order. How does he look, Amy?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. He's such a gorgeous looking animal, this fellow. He's handling the occasion particularly well. I feel like he's tightened up since Caulfield. He just doesn't look quite as soft as what he did that day. He looked spot on for that trip, but he also looks spot on for this bit extra today. So the team have done their job.
In front of him in the Caulfield Guineas, placing third, was the 9 Evaporate, the second of the Hayes runners. He bids to become the first horse since Red Anchor 40 years ago to win the Stud and then the Cox Plate here at the Valley. He has the services of Karis Teeton, who won the 2022 Queen Elizabeth II on Romantic Warrior in Hong Kong.
Well, you can easily make a case that he was the runner of the race in the Caulfield Guineas. He was the one that was working wide against the pattern. He's 3 from 3 at Moonee Valley. He's tactically versatile. The stable said they're going to ride him aggressively and use his lightweight today. Look, he's going to have to improve to a considerably higher level than anything he's done to date, but the Lindsay Park team are doing such a good job at the moment with everything they put a saddle on.
He's doing a really good job, this young horse. He just got a little bit bouncy and a little bit tense, but hey, there's a huge atmosphere out here and he's got himself together and calmed back down just a little bit as well. The team have got him here spot on. They couldn't have done any more. He looks great, he looks fit, he's moving well, beautiful and rich, healthy coat on him. So he's presented as well as he possibly could if he's up to this grade.
Prepare to be entertained as Mr. Brightside is the first through the tunnel, the volume at the Valley, the cauldron that it is. The dial is turned up a couple of notches. We got a treat last year. 1.5 lengths between the first 7 across the line behind Romantic Warrior, who had to wait for the print to develop to see off Mr. Brightside in the 2023 Ladbrokes Cox Plate. What has the 104th edition got for us? 9 runners, 9 stories, 9 key chances. Nick Quinn with a market update, some 5 minutes out from the Cox Plate.
Money has come for the Japanese galloper here. Prognosis was $3.90 into $3.80 when we last checked the betting. Subsequently back from $3.80 into $3.60, and the bigger bets still coming through at that quote. Pride of Jenny now a $4.40 second elect. Via Sistina $4.80. Broadsiding got out to $7.50, back into $6.50. Mr. Brightside on race days been $9.50 into $7, and then the rogue results for punters. Evaporate $23, Kovalika $26 with Docklands, and Royal Patronage a $41 outsider. But the best backed runner is our favourite, Prognosis. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on screen or visit the website.
Goodness me, what a tough mounting yard to try and dissect. I've flicked between 3 or 4 horses about 20 times. I'm going to go with Prognosis. I thought this horse is just a really lovely athletic type. He just looks like this distance is what he wants. He's a very classic looking staying type of horse. Mr. Brightside, it's the best I've ever seen him. Pride of Jenny's the same. Evaporate's taken good natural improvement. It's such a tough race, but I'm with Prognosis here. JD Hayes, Mr. Brightside, I thought that he looked absolutely superb. He couldn't have done any more.
He looks super. He's just showing a bit of rib. We've got him as good as he can, and I'm sure Craig will give him every opportunity.
From that gate, where exactly would you like him to be?
We're just going to ride him where he's comfortable, hopefully not spotting Jenny too far. But yeah, to make sure that we run out a strong 2000, we're just going to have him in his comfort zone and build into it and hopefully get the gaps at the right time.
It's obviously a horse that you've got such a good handle on. You've seen him race at the top level for such a long time. You also have the benefit of having some data with your track gallops. How does his work compare to this Cox Plate as to last one?
He's going as good as ever, so can't wait.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
James Cummings has kind of give us a couple of minutes pre-race. Here's the 3-year-old colt Broadsiding, the Golden Rose winner, heading towards the Cox Plate. The moment's arrived. Are you happy with how he's handled the occasion?
Yeah, for a young horse, he's handled the big day really well, and to this point, that's one of your fundamental concerns on the day. So now it's up to him to canter down to the barriers and just to come back, load up, comfortable and relaxed, and pop away well for Jamie to give him the steer that she's visualised.
What's his preparation look like since the Guineas fourth?
Well, look, we have proceeded as normal. We brought him to the valley. He's had a good look around. He pleased us, and he's just been beautiful in the last 2 weeks. Like, as far as focusing on your processes go, and only worrying about the things you can control, from our perspective, that they have been outstanding.
We've all got a fair understanding of what the brackets of this race look like in regards to the speed map. Where's Jamie going to sit in between those brackets?
Well, look, the thing is about this race, from her draw, a lot of it depends on the way the horses begin inside her. And you've got horses like Evaporate that has sat closer at Moonee Valley. He's unbeaten in 3 starts here. He knows his way around for a young horse. And Prognosis is not the most reliable horse to begin from the draw, and he's a key element in the race. Like, he's probably going to start favourite. So Jamie's got her options open. She's aware of the variables, and she's an outstanding field rider. Instinctively, she's capable of making the right calls. So Jamie's just been asked to rely on her instincts here and ride broadsiding to run his best race.
Good luck, James.
Thank you.
Well, the moment is almost upon us, and you wouldn't have a pulse if you didn't find this atmosphere electric and exciting. Gave me chills just coming down here to the start for the Cox Plate 2024 Cox Plate. And I get to cast my eye over some beautiful athletes, and one of my all-time favourite horses, Mr. Brightside. He looks spot on today. He's really dappled up in the coat, and Craig has certainly got his game face on. Everyone here, you can just tell they're in deep thought. They're working out their tactics for this race, and it really is some of the best racing you'll ever see. So we are thoroughly enjoying being behind the barriers here and watching them all, and they're about to start the loading process.
What a view Charlotte Littlefield has there at the top of the straight, at the famous 2,040 metre start. Horses milling behind the gates, not too far from being loaded. Our favourite is the Japanese runner in Prognosis at 340. There has been solid support for broadsiding into 650. Pride of Jenny on the drift slightly to 440, but still remaining solid. Ben Asgari, final thoughts before the horses move in?
It's going to be so interesting. How does Prognosis get out of the gates? How quick does Jenny go out in front? There's just so much theatre and so much to take in from the moment these gates open.
Let's go to Matt Hill for the call of the Ladbrokes Cox Plate.
Pride of Jenny into barrier number 7. Kieran Maher, of course, winning this race with Sir Dragonet. Via Sistina, it's been a dramatic week, but she's nice and settled going into barrier 4. So they're making a decent line. Royal Patronage is in, broadsiding forward. Prognosis going into barrier number 5. And that will leave Kovalika, the 104th running of Australia's best race. The Ladbrokes Cox Plate, and the field is set. Ready, Prognosis lifting. Crowd roars. They stand. Racing in the Cox Plate. Evaporate slow and almost stumbled out of the gates. Via Sistina away fairly. Royal Patronage led the race early. Pride of Jenny and Prognosis right up there, and driving up Evaporate made a line of 4 at the post. So Pride of Jenny steadily working across 4 deep on the first corner. They were followed by Mr. Brightside. Docklands the inside. 2.5 Via Sistina, Kovalika and broadsiding last. So Royal Patronage led, 1,600 to go. Pride of Jenny sits outside of it for now. Prognosis a length and a quarter away, third from Evaporate, who's kept 3 wide. A length and a half, Mr. Brightside. Docklands Via Sistina. Kovalika is second last, broadsiding last. Pride of Jenny went to the front. Bottom corner, 1,300 to go, and Pride of Jenny's put up 3 lengths now from Prognosis second. Royal Patronage passed by Evaporate on that corner. They were followed by Mr. Brightside, a length and a half to Docklands, then Via Sistina. Next in the field, Kovalika, and broadsiding at halfway. Pride of Jenny is the leader in the Cox Plate by about 2.5 to Prognosis, keeping the mare in his sights. A length and 3/4 away, Evaporate. Then came Royal Patronage and Mr. Brightside as they run towards the 700 metres. Via Sistina's 7 off the lead at least from Docklands, broadsiding Kovalika. So it's Pride of Jenny, 600 metres to go. A length and a half to Prognosis, who's nice and close. They're 2 lengths in front of Via Sistina, who's coming into it. Mr. Brightside's coming with her, and then came Royal Patronage. Pride of Jenny grabbed by Prognosis, but Via Sistina now pushes the button on the outside and goes up and takes the lead. Via Sistina, 300 metres to go, puts up 2 legs. Prognosis, Docklands, Mr. Brightside, and then came Royal Patronage. But Via Sistina storms away with 150 to go. She's 5 lengths in front. It's going to be a Cox Plate rout, and James McDonald, a century of the very best. Via Sistina by 7 lengths. Second Prognosis, third in the race was Broadsiding, Mr. Brightside next, then Docklands, Kovalika, Royal Patronage, Pride of Jenny, and Evaporate last.
Tuesday is but a memory when Saturday comes. James McDonald becomes the first jockey since the great Brent Thompson in 1977, 78 and 79 to win the Cox Plate in 3 consecutive years on 3 different horses, and in doing so joins a rare group to win 100 Group 1s. Chris Waller, who won 4 Cox Plates on the Mighty Winks, wins a 5th in stunning fashion on a mare that he has managed in a manner that perhaps only Chris Waller and his team can. Since the early hours of Tuesday morning, when James McDonald was dislodged as Via Sistina became entangled in bandages at about the 150 metre mark, and about the 150 metre mark is where Via Sistina had put the 104th Ladbrokes Cox Plate to bed. We didn't draw up a speed map that had Prognosis sitting just behind Pride of Jenny. It was a bold ride from Damien Lane. The Japanese galloper has hung on for second. But James McDonald, 3 straight Cox Plates. His 100th Group 1 comes aboard the mighty Via Sistina. He's alongside Charlotte Littlefield.
Well, James, I feel very honoured to be next year here. You have joined an elite group of riders, many of whom you admire greatly, such as Hugh Bowman, your good friend. You've won 100 Group 1s, you've won 3 Cox Plates in a row. If this isn't a movie script, I don't know what else is.
I'm just so lucky. What this mare's been through, and she's just an absolute star. I'm so lucky to be part of it. To Chris Waller and all his team, I see Tommy Simpson working on her on Tuesday morning. Chris Harwood flew down on Thursday to work her, and all of them said, excuse my French, she'll shit in. I honestly can't believe it. I love this race. I love this place. And to win a Cox Plate with Chris Waller, who is my greatest supporter, and it's so special. It's so fitting he's brought up my 100s, and to do it in such a prestigious race like the Cox Plate, I'm blessed, so blessed.
You've been quoted as saying that privilege, the pressure you feel in these big occasions is a real privilege. I mean, that's so evident right now, isn't it? But you've partnered one of the best horses in the world. I mean, tell me more about her. What makes her so incredible?
She's got an unbelievable sustained speed, and I think it's a huge asset to have in this high pressure race. The pressure was on from the get-go, and Jenny didn't have her piece. This horse has really worked really well here, even though I fell off her on Tuesday. She felt like she was gliding around the course really well, and I had a quiet first half, and I wheeled her out, kept her happy, and she seems just to grow a bit of confidence, and it was a Winx-like performance. So Charlotte, I can't believe it.
I can believe it. You're both champions. I want you to go and enjoy this moment, but let me know first of all how you're going to celebrate this moment.
Look, I don't know. honestly, I just feel so freaking lucky. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I'm just blessed, and my beautiful family will be watching. They'll be so over the moon. All my supporters. Can't thank everyone enough. I'm lucky to be in this industry and riding such wicked, unbelievable fast horses.
Well, I think everyone's very excited to see you, so go and celebrate, and well done. That was a very special moment.
George Daly, you've just strapped the winner of the Cox Plate. How does that feel?
Yeah, she was very good. Considering where we were at the beginning of the week, it's a bit of a change anyway.
Tell us, how long have you been with the team?
So I've been with Chris for 3 months now, and then came down with her from Sydney. So I've been down here about 2 months now with her, and she just got better and better for the 2 months.
When you were out there trying to catch her on Tuesday morning, can you believe you're standing here in this position right now?
Yeah, well, full credit to Chris and everyone, and Chris Harwood for coming down to ride her, Steve, who rides it down here. No, awesome.
Your family would be so proud back home.
Oh, I don't know, they probably won't be up.
Chris Waller is with us. He's just keeping an eye on another mighty mare that he's brought to the Valley with the utmost success. He's heading out to be part of this moment with Via Sistina, who's just thrashed a world-class field in the 104th running of the Ladbrokes Cox Plate. And these are pictures that are going to reverberate around the racing world. James McDonald, 100 Group 1s, and he's the first jockey in 45 years. He emulates the deeds of his countryman, Brent Thompson, and in winning this great race on 3 different horses in 3 consecutive years. A handshake and a well-earned one at that from Moonee Valley Racing Club CEO Michael Brow. And what looked like disaster perhaps on Tuesday has returned on Thursday for a canter and now victory. And he'll share the moment with Mr. Zhang. A warm embrace with Sam Fairgrave, Vin Cox, and it's a moment to savour for Yulong, Chris Waller, and everyone attached to the Via Sistina story. Chris, to see what we've just seen in such a dominant performance against such a world-class field on a Cox Plate, you've had some amazing moments in this game and at this venue, but I imagine this might supersede them all given what's unfolded since Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it was a big week. But I've just had full support from the owners, my staff, all the team, Moonee Valley. It's just been overwhelming. Yeah, there's not been any negativity, only positive vibes, and yeah, I'm so proud of her,
How pivotal was it to reset things, address what had happened on Tuesday morning? Just let Chris try and calm her down, given there's a lot of people around Via Sistina. She's dealt with quite a bit during the course of the week.
We don't need her running around.
We don't need another lap. She's done enough of them across the week. But how important was it to reset things in the immediate aftermath? Tuesday, you and James were fantastic, speaking to the media immediately. But then also, how pivotal was Marty Sign and Michael Brow opening up the track on Thursday to allow her to come back?
There was probably 10 key factors, and it's not anything else except common sense. Simple as that. Yeah, so we never lost faith, and just followed our instinct.
So the hardest thing you've had to deal with in your time training?
Probably not. Getting started was pretty hard. I'm blessed to be training horses like this. So, getting started was a lot harder.
Chris, well done. This is an amazing performance in what has been a phenomenal career. Congratulations on your 5th Cox Plate.
Thank you.
What a performance. And to put that into perspective, the margin is significant of 8 lengths by 2 lengths, but the time of 2:01:07 smashes, obliterates, absolutely destroys the previous track record that was set by none other than Winks in 2017 of 2:02.94. So almost 2 seconds faster than what we saw from the best of Winks on that day of dry track.
Yeah, I'm struggling to get my head around it, BZ. It's just a staggering performance. 8 lengths eased down. Let's hear from James Cummings about broadsiding, who was brave in third.
Defeat today.
He did. He was brave. He raced well. He followed the winner, but no sooner was he following her than she accelerated away. And broadsiding's just a young horse, having only his 10th start, but he's improving. And take nothing away from outstanding accolades to the 8-length victory of Via Sistina, and he's 2 lengths astern of Prognosis. They're world-class horses, and he's acquitted himself well. But he's beaten a lot of good horses in behind him, and therefore he's acquitted himself very well in his first Cox Plate. But a class effort, and I think he's done his reputation plenty. I think he's done his reputation plenty of good in showing up for the fight.
He's done a great job. Well done.
Thank you.